Let's see how to synchronize fields using a many-to-many mapping where fields on both sides of the connection have different values. For the purpose of this video, I will synchronize the status field. So on the Jira side, the status field contains these values: to do, in progress, and done. And on the corresponding work item on the Azure DevOps side, the states are totally different. They are called new, active, closed, and removed. Note that these words themselves don't matter. The states could be anything defined by the user on either side. In Jira, you have your workflows, and in Azure DevOps, you can define your own states, and that's fine. But what we need to do here is create a many-to-many mapping so that Exalate knows that if the Jira status is in progress, it should mark the work item on the DevOps side as active. And let's say when Jira status changes to done, we can move the Azure DevOps item to the closed state. And this is the many-to-many mapping that we want to create. Now with any synchronization, let's first think about the outgoing and the incoming side and what each of them needs to do. In this case, the outgoing side is the Jira system, and it's responsible for sending out the status. So if you look at line number 10, Jira is already sending out the status in the form of replica.status. And whatever the Jira status is, it's available in the variable called replica.status on the Azure DevOps side. Now, everything else needs to happen on the Azure DevOps side, this time, in the incoming sync rules. So we need to synchronize the statuses, and we need to create the mapping. Of course, you don't need to start from scratch. There is this code commented out, which is available by default on every connection. So let's start by copying this, since that's a good starting point. Let's just format this a little. All right, there are 3 lines of code. Number 1 is a mapping that is created. The mapping is pretty simple. The first value is always the value on the remote system. So if Jira is in progress, I want to mark my work item as active. Let's just create another one. If Jira is in done state, I want to mark my Azure DevOps work item as closed. This line is literally just a hash map data structure that contains evalu pairs. So how the magic happens is that you read the status from the replica, which means that you read the status arriving from the Jira side, and then on line number 18, you reference the map that you just created using that status coming in from the Jira side. To give you an example of this, if the status in progress has arrived from Jira, you reference the map and read the corresponding value as active, and then obviously the work item dot set status map sets the status of the work item to the value active. You can add as many lines as you want to this. Just keep following the key value syntax. Remember that the first value is always the remote value that you're reading, and the second value is always the local. Now let's publish the changes we just made, and let's test it out. In order to test this, I'll move my Jira to in progress. And according to the mapping that I've created, I expect Azure DevOps work item to move to the active state. And yes, that's done. And if you want to test this further, you can still move it to the done status, and that should mark the item as closed. All right, this is how you create a many-to-many mapping. So whenever you have fields on either side that requires this many-to-many mapping, you can use the hash map syntax and accordingly pick the corresponding value.